My name is Peter. I come from a small village called Olorunke, where the people love to travel in December to see their families and celebrate Christmas together. Every year, the roads are full of cars, buses, and motorcycles, all rushing home. But in my village, the elders always say, before you travel in December, you must pray. You don't know what waits for you on the road. I never used to believe them. One December morning, my best friend John came to my house. "Peter," he said, "let's travel to the city together and visit your uncle. He promised us new clothes and a big party." I was excited. I forgot to pray. I just grabbed my bag, told my mother goodbye, and jumped into the old blue bus waiting by the road. The bus was filled with people. A woman carried a baby on her back, an old man sat by the window holding a walking stick, and a young girl sold groundnuts to the passengers. Everyone was happy. Some people sang Christmas songs, while others talked about the gifts they would buy. But something strange happened. After we passed the tall iroko tree by the bend, the sky suddenly turned dark. The wind began to blow hard, and the birds flew away in fear. The old man by the window started to pray, his voice shaking. "Driver, turn back!" one woman shouted, but the driver only laughed. "Ah, madam, no storm can stop me. We must reach the city today." Then we saw it. A tall, dark figure stood in the middle of the road. It was not a man, it was not an animal, it was something else. Its eyes glowed like fire and its skin was as black as coal. The driver pressed the horn, but the figure did not move. Everyone in the bus went silent. Suddenly the old man shouted, "Jesus, save us!" The figure raised its hand, and the engine of the bus died. The lights went out. The wind howled louder. People began to cry. A baby wailed. The woman with the baby started singing a gospel song, her voice shaking. At that moment, I remembered my mother's words, "Always pray before you travel." I closed my eyes and whispered, "God, if you save me, I will never forget to pray again." And then, the sound of a bell came from the bush. At first, it was faint. Cling, cling, cling. Then it grew louder. It sounded like the kind of bell the village priest rings every Sunday morning before church. Everyone in the bus stopped crying. Even the baby went quiet. The strange figure on the road turned its head toward the sound. Its fire-like eyes blinked, and for the first time, it looked afraid. From inside the thick bush, an old woman appeared. She was dressed in white with a small bell in one hand and a staff in the other. Her hair was as white as cotton, and her skin shone like the morning sun. She walked slowly but surely toward the road. As she walked, she sang an old village song, the kind our grandmothers used to sing when they prayed for rain. "O Lua, protect your children. Keep us safe on the road. Let no evil see us." The figure let out a loud, deep sound, like thunder mixed with a lion's roar. The old woman raised her staff high and shouted in a strong voice, "Leave these ones alone. The road is not for you tonight." Suddenly, a bright light surrounded the bus. The figure screamed, covering its eyes with its long black hands. Then it disappeared into the darkness like smoke blown by the wind. The old woman walked to the bus door. The driver, who could not speak before, opened the door with shaking hands. She looked at us one by one, her eyes sharp like a mother's. "Who among you prayed before leaving home?" she asked. Only the old man by the window raised his hand. The woman shook her head slowly. "This is why you must pray before you travel. December is a month when the road is hungry. Evil spirits and dark things move about looking for careless souls." I felt my chest grow heavy. I thought about my mother again and the words she said to me that morning. The old woman pointed her staff at me. "You, what is your name?" "Peter, Ma," I whispered. She sighed. "Peter, you must learn to pray. This night was not meant for you, but someone pleaded for your soul." I looked around, confused. "Who, Ma?" But before she could answer, the sound of drums came from far away, the kind we hear during masquerade festivals. The old woman's face changed. "They are coming," she said, "and we don't have much time." The sound of drums grew louder. Dum, dum, dum. It wasn't music you could dance to, it was the kind of drumbeat that made your skin crawl, that told you something from the other world was close. The old woman raised her staff and waved it in the air. Suddenly, a small path opened in the bush beside the road. It was a narrow, glowing footpath that seemed to lead to a safe place. "Everybody down from the bus," she commanded. Nobody argued. Even the driver, who was known in the village for his stubbornness, jumped out first. The woman with the baby, the old man with the walking stick, the young girl selling groundnuts, all of us hurried down and stood by the glowing path. "Follow this path," the old woman said, "and do not look back, no matter what you hear." The drums came closer. I could now hear voices too, deep, strange voices speaking a language I did not understand. The leaves in the bush shook without any wind. The air smelled like something was burning. We started moving, one behind the other, into the narrow path. The old man led the way, and I stayed close behind John. The old woman remained behind us, holding up her staff. As we walked, the sounds from the road grew louder. It was as if many feet were marching. Strange shadows danced on the trees. A cold wind brushed my face. Then, a voice called my name. "Peter." It was soft, sweet. It sounded like my mother's voice. I slowed down. "Mama?" I whispered. John grabbed my hand. "Don't answer it," he warned. But the voice came again, this time closer. "Peter, it's me. Come back. Your food is ready at home." I turned my head a little, just a little, and what I saw almost made me scream. Standing by the side of the path was a figure that looked exactly like my mother. She wore the same wrapper and blouse my mother had worn that morning. She smiled at me, but her eyes were not my mother's. They were dark and empty, like deep holes. "Peter, come now, my son." My legs felt weak. I almost moved toward her when the old woman shouted from behind, "Don't answer it, boy. That's not your mother." Suddenly, a sharp cry came from the bush, a voice that sounded like a crow and a crying child at the same time. The figure that looked like my mother began to change. Her skin turned gray, her mouth stretched too wide, and her eyes burned like small fires. John pulled me hard, and we both fell to the ground. The old woman shouted at me, "Don't answer any voice in the dark, no matter how sweet it sounds." I was shaking. I could feel my heart pounding hard in my chest. John helped me up quickly, and we both followed the others down the narrow, glowing path. The ground beneath our feet felt warm, as if the earth itself was protecting us. The drums were still beating. Now, I could hear more of those strange voices from the road, calling different names. "Ada, Chinedu, Kemi, Peter." They called like they knew every traveler on that road. "Cover your ears," the old woman ordered. Everyone placed their hands over their ears. I did the same, but even then I could feel the voices inside my head, like tiny fingers trying to pull my soul out. Then, the path opened into a small clearing. In the middle of it was a stone shrine with 7 burning lamps. The old man with the walking stick spoke for the first time. "This is Aja's resting place," he said in a weak voice. The old woman nodded. "We are safe here for now, but the night is not over. Everyone gathered around the shrine. The old woman placed her staff against the stone and knelt down. She began to pray in a tongue I didn't understand. The old man joined her, his voice low but steady. I looked at John. His face was pale. "Will we get home alive?" I asked him. Before he could answer, one of the burning lamps flickered and went out on its own. A cold wind blew through the clearing. The old woman stopped praying. She turned to us with fear in her eyes for the first time. "They found us," she whispered. Before anyone could speak, the rest of the lamps began to flicker one by one. The clearing grew darker. The only light left came from the old woman's staff, which still glowed faintly against the stone. Suddenly, the drums stopped. The night became too quiet. Not even the crickets sang. The air was heavy. It felt as if the sky itself was holding its breath. Then, from the shadows around the clearing, pairs of red eyes appeared. Dozens of them. Some high in the trees, some low by the ground. They moved slowly, circling us. The woman with the baby held her child tight and began to cry. The old man gripped his walking stick harder. "Hold hands," the old woman ordered. "Nobody must stand alone." We quickly formed a circle around the shrine, our hands sweaty and trembling. I held John's hand so tight I felt his fingers go numb. The red eyes came closer. I could now see their shapes. Tall, thin creatures with long limbs and skin as dark as the night. Their faces were twisted, with mouths that stretched from one ear to the other. Their teeth were sharp, and their breath smelled like rotten meat. The old woman raised her staff. The light grew brighter, but the creatures didn't stop. "There are too many," the old man said, his voice shaking. The old woman's face was wet with sweat. "They shouldn't have found us this quickly," she muttered, "unless someone among us has called them." Everyone looked at each other. My heart pounded faster. "What does she mean?" John whispered to me. Before I could answer, one of the groundnut girl's hands began to twitch. Her eyes rolled back in her head. She opened her mouth, and a strange voice spoke through her. "He is ours. We marked him from birth. Give him to us." The circle broke. The woman with the baby screamed. The old woman pointed her staff at the girl. "Speak your name, spirit." The groundnut girl's body twisted, and the voice spoke again. "Obasoro, keeper of the hungry path." Then, the drums started again, faster this time. The creatures moved closer. The old woman shouted, "They won't stop unless we give them what they came for." I felt the world spin. My legs weakened. "Who is it?" John asked, his voice trembling. I already knew. The old woman turned and pointed her staff at me. "Peter, it's you." I froze. My mouth went dry. I felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. What do you mean, Ma?" I stammered. She stepped closer, her eyes sad but firm. "You were marked at birth, Peter. Something from the spirit world claimed you when you were a child. That's why your mother always warned you to pray before you travel. This road, this night, was waiting for you." I began to cry. "But I didn't know," I whispered. "That's how it happens," the old man said. "Spirits move silently. They wait for careless hearts. But prayer builds a fence around you." The creatures with red eyes moved closer. The drums beat like thunder now. The possessed groundnut girl laughed with a voice not her own. "Give him to us!" I turned to John. His eyes were wet, too. "I won't leave you, Peter," he said. The old woman raised her staff high, and a beam of light burst into the sky. The creatures screamed and covered their eyes. "Peter," she shouted, "you must pray now, from your heart. Only you can break the mark tonight." I knelt on the ground. I didn't remember any long prayers. I just closed my eyes and cried out, "God, please save me. I don't want to die. I don't want to belong to them. Forgive me for not praying. Help me. The moment those words left my lips, a great wind blew through the clearing. The drums fell silent. The creatures wailed and vanished like smoke blown by a mighty wind. The possessed girl fell to the ground, unconscious. The lamps on the shrine relit themselves. The night became calm. The crickets sang again. The old woman lowered her staff, her face filled with relief. "It is done," she said softly. I opened my eyes. I was still shaking, but I was alive. John helped me up. The others came close and hugged me. The old woman placed her hand on my shoulder. "You have been given another chance, Peter. Never travel without covering yourself in prayer again. The road sees many faces, but it knows who is careless." And so, we made it back to our village before sunrise. The villagers gathered to hear our story. That morning, I went to my mother's house and fell on my knees, crying. She held me close and said, "Now you understand, my son." Since that day, I never leave my house, not even to the next street, without saying a prayer. Moral lesson: in life, we walk through roads we do not fully see. Dangers, both seen and unseen, hide along the paths we travel. Prayer is not just a habit, it is a shield. No matter how big or small your journey, always pray before you travel. It can be the difference between life and death. Never forget this African wisdom. The road has no friend, but prayer knows every road.